Hi everyone. So today I am going to be talking all about the new I-485, the green card application. USCIS decided that we needed a new form. They needed to update some things, add some things, and that's what we're going to be talking about is the changes that they made, how it could affect your case, and all the things you need to know about the new green card form. I'm even going to show you the form, the section that they changed, right? The section that they added things to, so that you know exactly what to expect when you're going through your green card process. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am Lillian Chukura. I help families and individuals that want to immigrate to the US, get green cards, get citizenship in the US. And if that sounds interesting to you, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel, like this video, and you can get all my updates. And yes, that is my child enjoying her toys. Okay. Um, so if you would like a private consultation with me, it's actually a strategy session where we talk about your particular situation, give you a game plan on how you can get your green card or citizenship. Go ahead and go to my website, lilylegal.com, or call my office at 508-443-1788. And yeah, let's jump right in. So the first thing you need to know is, well, there's a new form. We've had the same form for several years now. And during the Trump administration, they actually came up with a brand new form for specifically the public charge rule. And we were not happy about it. And by we, I mean people that support, represent, and are immigrants. Okay. I represent and support immigrants, and them getting a green card, and this public charge form and the rule around the form pose a threat to that. And if y'all remember back then, we, the immigration lawyers, the immigration advocates, were very much against this. So today, what happens is that USCIS has created a new form that we didn't ask for, right? The I-485 is going to be brand new starting December 23rd, 2022. So next week on December 23rd, USCIS is going to only accept the new form. So that is really, really important. So if you are currently on the USCIS website, if you are currently going through the green card application process and you haven't filed your case yet, and you want to use the old form, so the current form, the form that's in effect until December 22nd, you need to file your case before December 23rd. So that means you need to put it in the mail to go out to USCIS on or before December 22nd. If you send it on December 23rd, USCIS is going to reject the old form. So if you go on the USCIS website, actually, instead of telling you, let me show you, because they make it very, very clear what they are accepting and when they are accepting it. So do not send in the new form today. They're not going to accept the new form until December 23rd. They are also not going to, let me share my screen real quick with y'all. So as you can see right here, this is just a preview. This is going to be the new form. And the new form, as you can see right here, they said they will reject it. They will. If you send it in, let me make sure this is bigger for y'all. Yeah. So they will reject it if you send it before December 23rd. However, this one that's right here, will be changed on December 23rd. So When you go on the website, on USCIS I-485 website, they are going to, on December 23rd, this is going to go away, and it's just going to be the normal form and instructions. So these will turn into from a preview to the regular forms. If you are currently filling out this form and you have no intention of filing your case, okay, if you are currently filling out that form and you have zero intentions of filing your case before December 23rd, you need to start working on the new form. Okay, you need to start working on the new form, not the old one. So keep that in mind. All right. So the next thing to keep in mind is, again, the deadline, December 22nd. If you mail it by December 22nd, they will accept it. If you mail it on December 23rd, they will not accept the old form. They will only want this new form that's going to be active on the website December 23rd. It's really important that you do not mess that up. Make sure you're sending in the right edition. Okay, make sure you're sending in the right edition. And how can you tell if you're sending in the right edition? You go right here. It will tell you the edition dates. So on the forms, on the bottom of the form, it will have a date. Okay, if it's anything other than this date, you cannot send it in. Okay, until December 23rd. So on December 23rd, the date here, the edition date will change. So on the day that you want to mail in your application, go on the USCIS website, check the edition date of the form that you want to send in, and make sure you're sending in the right edition. So that's the simplest way I can put it for you. Now, after that, the next thing we want to talk about is, of course, the actual form. What are the changes? Because, of course, there is going to be changes. There are going to be changes. If they're going through the process of actually changing things and being very strict on their deadlines, they're going to make changes. So what are these changes? Well, the most prominent change they're making is on the public charge rule. And I'm just going to pause for a second. Mel, I see your question and I'm going to answer. I'm going to respond to it in a few. And just give me a minute. So on here, you see the form. It is very clear. I hope you can see this very well. So if you scroll through the form, it's just like the current edition, right? Do you want a social security card issued to you, your name, your address, the basis of you being able to apply for a green card, how you entered the US. Again, all of this is the normal forms, right? This is just like the one that we currently have. And on the bottom right here, you see the edition date. Okay, the edition date on this, because this is the preview, is December 23rd, 2022, which is when you will have to start using this particular form. So as you go through, you put your parents' information, your children, everything is the same. Everything is normal. You don't even have to worry about it. You do your criminal records, right? You have to say if you've ever been convicted of certain crimes, if you've ever lied to immigration, all of that. And then we get to the public charge. And this is where things are different. Okay? So the question is, the public charge question, which is right here, number 61 on the form, says, are you subject to the public charge ground of inadmissibility? Right? Most people are. Are you subject to it? Yes. Right? But the question used to be, are you a public charge? Right? But now is, are you subject to it? Meaning, does that rule apply to you in your case? That's what they're really trying to get to here. Is, does the public charge rule apply to you in your case? There's only a few cases where the public charge rule doesn't apply. Okay, there's only a few cases. VAWA cases are a great example of a case where the public charge rule does not apply. If it's a child filing for a parent, a spouse filing for a spouse, a parent filing for a child, the public charge rule applies, right? The US government has the right to look at whether the person would become a public charge. And that basically means, will this person end up needing government assistance? That's basic. Will this person end up needing government assistance? And if the answer to that is yes, then you have to basically go through a process of proving that even though they may become a public, you're saying yes, they actually have resources or they meet some exceptions. Now, that question has changed to, are you subject to the rule? And if you are subject to the rule, now you have to go ahead and provide additional information. You have to provide your household size. So who lives in your house with you? So if you are a spouse filing for a spouse, you will be looking at yourself, your spouse, if you have any children in your household, if you claim any of your any children that do not live in your house as your dependents, if you have anyone else living in your household, like that can add their income to your household, that's considered part of your household, you will list them here. Okay. And then the next thing is, how much does your household make, right? What's your annual household income? This is your income, the person you're filing for, right? So this is where it becomes very interesting, because this form is now filed by the US citizen or the permanent resident. This form is filled by the person asking to get their permanent residency. The person applying to become a permanent resident is the one filling out this form. So they're looking at their household, where they live, who is part of the household. So for example, if it's a parent that has a adult US citizen child filing for them, their household, if they're living with the child, can include the child's spouse, the child's children, right? Their grandchildren. So then the household income is not only the non-US citizen person, right? The foreign applicant, their income, if they have any. And remember, when they're talking about income here, they're looking at income that was legally earned. So if the person is working without authorization, their income do not count. So if anyone in the household works without authorization, their income will not count on this form. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you can add your child, husband, right? If they have income, you can add that income as long as you list them as part of your household. All right. So do they have any assets? Do they own a house? Do they own stocks, bonds, things like that? Do they have any assets that, and then you can include that as well to show that you would not become a public charge. If they have any liabilities, so if they have a home, do they have a mortgage? If they have a mortgage, how much do they have left on their mortgage? Okay. And then here it's asking about your highest level of education. So you, the person that wants to get your green card, what's your highest level of education? Do you have any certificates? Do you have any licenses? Do you have any skills, work experience, educational certificates, anything that you can use to show that you have skills and you can get a job once you get your green card, right? They're just looking at whether you would be able to support yourself or have your household be able to support you. The next thing here is, have you ever received any Social Security supplement, SSI, SSDI? Typically do not count in here because it's disability based, right? But they specifically mention SSI. Food stamps go under this as well. Housing assistance goes under this as well. So if you are receiving any of that, so this is asking if you, not your household, right? Have you ever received? So if someone in your household has received these in the past, that's not what they're asking for here. They're asking if you have received it. So yes, if you have, no, if you haven't. Do you have you ever had, been institutionalized at the government's expense? This is really the question that they want the answer to. So these two right here, I feel that is the biggest things that can lead to you not being able to get your to this being an issue for you, because they are asking, have you ever gotten government assistance? Right? You're telling us that you're not going to become a public charge, but if you've received government assistance in the past, how are we supposed to know you're not going to need it in the future? So if the answer to either of these questions is a yes, you have to fill out this part that tells them what you received, when you received it, right? Where were you institutionalized? What dates and the reason. And that's it, right? That is the major change that actually happened with this form. Before, none of these questions were there. None of these. You did not have to answer questions about your household size, your household income, right? Now, right? Now, some of you out there may be getting scared. Some of you may be getting scared because you're like, oh, what if my household income is not that much? What if, all the what ifs. But remember, with a green card application that has a public charge requirement, right? With a green card application that has a public charge requirement, you must also fill out an affidavit of support. Okay, remember that. When you are the spouse of a US citizen and you're filing a green card application based on your spouse filing for you to get your green card, you have to file, your spouse, that's the US citizen, has to file an affidavit of support saying that they have enough income to support you. And most of the time, that is enough, right? That is enough to show that you're not going to become a public charge. According to the instructions to this form, which I'm going to actually pull up for you all next, the instructions specifically says that you do not have to send any supporting documents with this application when it comes to the public charge rule, right? You, let me share this with you all. So you have to look at the instructions of these forms before you start getting scared, okay? So on here, on the instruction, page 16, number 15, it says, evidence relating to the public charge ground of inadmissibility. So that questions we just went through that's on the form, this is the instructions of what do you actually have to present as evidence. It specifically says, applicants, with one exception, are not required to provide any initial evidence relating to the public charge ground of inadmissibility. So this means you file your application, you fill out that section based on your information, accurate information. You do your affidavit of support, and you send in your application. If USCIS looks at your application and they have concerns that you may become a public charge or you may need government assistance, right? If they feel that your household income is not enough to support you, Then they will request additional evidence. So right here, it says, if USCIS requires additional evidence to determine if you are inadmissible under the public charge ground of inadmissibility, it will issue you a request for evidence and consider all evidence that you provide in response. So do not think that just because you're filling out that form, your household, may not be making millions, but you have an affidavit of support that shows that whoever is sponsoring you has enough income to support you, even if you never work in the US, right? Even if you never work in the US, if you can show that whoever is sponsoring you has enough income to support you, then this public charge question will not be as detrimental to your case as some people may be thinking. So when you are answering these questions, you have to answer it accurately in case, because USCIS has the right to ask you for documentation to back up what you put on the forms when it comes to the public charge rule. However, remember that your affidavit of support is evidence that you would not become a public charge. So make sure that your affidavit of support accurately shows your sponsor's income, your sponsor's household size, and accurately shows that they have enough income to not just support you, but to support the household that they have. So that is the big change. If you are not able to show, if your affidavit of support is not great, if the person barely makes it over the requirement, then that's when you would want to really prepare those documentation to prove that you're not going to be a public charge. They're not asking you to send it with the application, but you need to be prepared in case they ask for it. Okay, so just make sure you are, when it comes to this, and you are on that threshold. With my clients, we'll be talking about this. We'll be going into detail. The ones that are not on the threshold, we're still going through the details. However, there's a lower chance of things of the public charge being an issue for them. So it's really important that you are disclosing all this information to your attorney that's helping you with the process, because that's our job, right? Our job is to look at your situation and make sure that you qualify, or that there's a way for you to still qualify, right? We can work with you on it, but you have to let us know. Okay. Again, this is the biggest issue for people where, again, their household income is just enough to meet the affidavit of support requirements, but may not be just extravagant, right? And if the person that's applying for a green card, if they are older, not able to work, that also will affect the public charge determination. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you would like a strategy session about your particular situation, to see if the public charge rule is going to apply to you, to see if you qualify for a green card, if you qualify for citizenship, feel free to do that by going to my website, lilylegal.com, or by calling my office at 508-443-1788. And I just see a question from Mel. I did say that I will respond to it once I am done. So let me see. What does it mean when FOIA reports shows that my form I-360 is in a T file? FOIA report shows that the prima facie letter was not issued. Meanwhile, it was received in the mail. The PF was not renewed upon expiration. Are all these something to worry about? So, so this is the part about YouTube lives, right? I can only I would need to see the file. So typically, in order for me to actually give you any information, I would need to see the file. Depending on when you filed for the FOIA and when the when the report was sent, if the prima facie letter was not issued before the report was generated, it will not show in the report, right? So let's say you filed the request in January, and the prima facie letter was sent in July, but the report was sent out in February. So February, if the report was sent out in February, anything that happens after that wouldn't be in the report. So it just depends on when the report was sent and when the letter itself was sent. Typically, if the prima facie letter has expired, USCIS can send you an updated one. There is a way to request an updated letter. So again, the FOIA request may not be accurate as of today, right? Depending on when you got it. So depending on when they issued it, not even when you received it, depending on when they issue it, that's what is going to determine what's actually in it. So anything that was done after they issued the report is not going to show up on the report. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And again, if the prima facie was not renewed, you typically can ask for it to be renewed. There's a process for that. Feel free to reach out, and I can give you the information. Okay, and Evelyn is asking, how long does it take to get your interview date? Okay. I need to know, Evelyn, if you can just put what type of case. Is it a green card application in the US, or is it a vow? What type of case? And I can give you a more a better answer than I can give you right now with just that question. If anyone else has any questions, please do put it in the comments. I am happy to stay on and answer your question for as long as you have them. Okay. So Evelyn is not putting the updated answer. So Evelyn, if you are still with us, go ahead and put what type of case you're looking for the interview date and where. Okay, I'm guessing it's green card in the US. Depending on where you live, it is ranging from a year to 2 years. Again, it depends on your jurisdiction. I do have a video on here on how to check your processing time based on the city that you will actually have your interview in. Okay, so that's what it's going to be. Oh, from Ghana to the US. Oh, honey. So depending on when you filed, so I'm assuming you may have already filed, and you're now waiting for the interview. Those are taking, okay, just brace yourself. Those are taking about 2 to 3 years right now in Ghana to just get an interview. And that's if it's a marriage-based one, or a parent filing for a child. Those are taking longer because of the embassies being closed and the backlogs. And it's like we had COVID, but we were still filing applications. So it's like the applications were still coming in. It's just they weren't being processed at the embassies for about a year to 2 years. So they have to work through all that backlog. So right now it is taking some time. Once you have reached the National Visa Center stage and you have entered, you have been, your documents have been qualified and you're good to go for your interview, now you wait. Okay. And those are taking about 2 to 3 years, unfortunately. I hope that answered your question, and hopefully you are further along in the process, or you've been waiting longer and you're not just now being documentarily qualified, because it is going to take some time, unfortunately. All right. If you are joining me and you have any questions, this is the Q&A section. Go ahead and ask me your questions. If you missed the green card, the new form, basically they added the public charge rule to the new I-485 form. It asks for your household size. So the person applying for the green card, it asks for your household size. It asks for your household income. It asks for your level of education, okay? It asks if your household has any assets, so properties, stocks, bonds, and how much that is worth. It also asks if you have ever received government assistance. So, for example, SSI, food stamps, housing assistance. If you have received any of those, you have to say yes, and you have to disclose what those are. You also have to disclose if you have ever been institutionalized in the US at the government's expense. So you only have to disclose it if the government paid for it. If you or your family paid for the institutionalization, you do not have to disclose it. But if the government paid for it, then you do have to disclose when and where that took place, okay? And the reason that you were institutionalized, okay? So that is just a quick run through of the new changes. Typically, those changes, the public charge rule, if you have a solid affidavit of support from your sponsor, that should take care of the public charge rule. If you are on the border, make sure that you are that you have documentation to back up that you're not going to become a public charge, and make sure that you do not send it in. Right? The instruction specifically says not to send in the proof for the public charge. If they want it, they're going to ask you for it. So basically, if they think that you are going to be a public charge, they're going to send you a request for evidence saying, hey, we think you may become a public charge. So let's go ahead and get these documents so that you can prove to us that you're not going to become a public charge. So that's really where you have to pay attention there. Is if you're getting a request for evidence, it's usually because you're kind of on the borderline. They're trying to decide whether you are going to become a public charge or you're not going to become a public charge. Okay. If you're not getting a request for evidence, that typically means that you are on the other side of it, right? That they don't think you're going to become a public charge. All right, so that is all I have for you today. Remember, if you have questions, put them in the comments. This is my last live for the year. So I won't be seeing y'all next Friday or the Friday after that. I'll be taking time off with my family, just enjoying the holidays. But when we come back in January, I will be doing a whole Q&A immigration. Come and ask me your immigration questions. You have 2 weeks to think about it. So think about your questions. Bring it with you on the 6th. I believe that's the first Friday. Y'all don't judge me. I believe, yes, on the 6th of January, I will be doing a Q&A immigration. Ask me anything. So feel free, join me, ask your question. And it's going to be the same time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, if you found this video helpful, please feel free to like and share this video. And if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, because you do not want to miss any of my uploads, and you do not want to miss your chance to ask me questions live, because if you're subscribed and you turn on the notification bell, you are going to be notified the second I go live. And I usually, give you a heads up, like an hour or two heads up that I will be going live. So go ahead and subscribe, and thank you again. If you want a private consultation, a private strategy session, okay, this is where we talk about your particular situation, figure out if you qualify for a green card, how you may qualify for a green card or citizenship, and get you a plan to move forward with. Feel free to do that. Go on my website, lilylegal.com, or call my office at 508-443-1788. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I am Lillian Chukura. I am the owner of Lily Legal, where we do immigration law and we do it well. Bye for now.